So I stumbled upon this new Netflix movie called Dangerous Liaisons, and it looked like one of those like after-inspired teen romances before I realized that it's actually just based off the book of the same title, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, which is a novel that has been adapted many times. There is a Glenn Close version, but you guys might be a little bit more familiar with one of the modernized adaptations, Cruel Intentions. So like Cruel Intentions did in the 90s, this version modernizes the story for the 2020s. Though I did think that Cruel Intentions was originally taking place at a college, but apparently it is also a high school, which is horrifying based on all the stuff that happens, but I still really enjoy it as a movie. It's campy, it's funny, it's an erotic mess, but it has great music. It's one of those movies that is very much a product of its time, but I still enjoy it. But a modernized Netflix adaptation goes about as good as you can imagine. It doesn't play out like Cruel Intentions, but it ends in a way I feel confident not a single one of you could ever possibly guess. And that ending alone, and I do mean this was like a during the credits scene, is what convinced me and committed me to making this video. Other than the movie kind of being a mess in general, there's a lot of like logistical and motivation issues. Like usually you can follow a pretty clear path with why the people in the story want to mess with the people they're trying to mess with. In this, sometimes the motivation shows up after they've already started doing it. It also doesn't really give the full vibe that these are like master manipulators just exploiting the people around them the same way as other adaptations do, but let's hop in. So as all my nightmares seem to in these movies, we start with a monologue, but instead of it being about like love, it's about fame. I also feel like this is one of those intros that's actually like taking place for like some part of the conclusion before we like roll it all back to how it started. But then they feel the need to tell us that he has 3.5 million Insta followers and she has 500K. So we're getting the real essential information here, but doesn't seem to matter. It cuts to 3 months earlier. So we kick off with our lead girl moving into her uncle's with her dad. I guess her mom has passed away at some point recently, but she's trying to keep up a relationship with the boyfriend she left behind. But I am sorry, none of that matters because the dog's name is Balzac. I'm sorry, I know it's a French name. I'm sorry, I'm apparently 12 years old, but why in this year of 2022 would you name the dog Balzac? And I might have been able to let it go if not immediately the dog like escapes out the front door, so she's just running around screaming for Balzac.
Balzac! 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 Balzac!
I'm sorry, it's funny. So this dog is about to get laid out by some like influencer lady in a Dodge Ram that I'm sure she super needs in the south of France for her influencing, but thankfully this surfing influencer saves him just at the last second. You might say he has experience grabbing Balzac. I'm sorry. But I do have questions as to how a high school age surfer has amassed like millions of followers just by being a pro surfer. Like, is he like legit? Is he the Tony Hawk of the surf world? I should actually be more bothered by the fact that he seems to be famous for actually having some kind of like skill that required work instead of just like posing for like 5-second thirst trap TikToks. But that's the reality of social media today. Either way, he ends up offering her a ride home that she only accepts after Balzac tries to do another runner. He obviously tries to flip this into a chance to show her around town, but she shuts him down with the relationship card. My actual biggest issue is that I am sick of these movies being filmed in gorgeous vacation spots. But to make sure he really understands that he doesn't have a chance, she starts to rap at him. So this movie started auto-playing the English dub, so it's kind of going back and forth between that and the original French. And the acting isn't great in either scenario, but the rapping here in English, oh my god.
Being away from my bae got me tripping, and here comes this privileged ass dude with his ride, trying to make me feel some type of way. Epic fail though.
In French, it's more just like speaking the lyrics, so I don't know who decided to like really let the English voice actor give her. But it turns out that her uncle is the principal of the school and her cousin Charlotte is the resident weirdo. But when he drops her off, he tries to give her a surfboard and invites her out for lessons the next day, which she says absolutely no to. So obviously she shows up. It's not my first rodeo with these stories. Obviously they have a great time. They cap it off with a nice sunset beach watch. She talks about being a feminist, which means he's obviously gonna do something super fucked up. Like, I mean, obviously he is. This is Cruel Intentions and he's Sebastian essentially, so Yeah. But this is where she drops that she doesn't just have a boyfriend, they're engaged at 17. Amazing. She turns it into some kind of like argument about like having the choice to do what she wants with her body, but like you can do that without being engaged. Then she just kind of like turns it into a conversation about love, which she clearly cares about so much because she's missing a FaceTime date with her fiance. And while she's storming off, these two girls start snapping pictures to send them to some girl on a boat. And I'm getting the impression that this is supposed to be Tristan's girlfriend, but I am positive that they must be in like a fake relationship for this story to play out accurately.
Guillermo, you're gonna book me a flight to Biarritz.
You know you can call me Dad.
Now, Guillermo.
Oh.
Oof. That's kind of funny though. But Tristan here ends up gifting Celine a first edition Proust novel. Oh yeah, her name is Celine if I didn't mention that, but it also has a party invite inside it. Very classy, bit over the top, but what a weird thing to accept and to gift someone you just met. Like that has to be worth like a couple $1,000s at least. Either way, she goes to this pool party with Charlotte. There's people taking selfies all over. There's naked pool jumping, and Tristan is rapping on a stage at his own party.
When the clock run down, I'm what's up in town. If I like this shit, then I cup it now.
I take back everything I said. This is exactly like modern TikTok houses. Okay. So he actually raps a few times in the movie. So I just wanted to check on the actor here. And yeah, he is trying to have a rap career. And there is a song I will be making fun of later that I found out that's actually his. And while this is giving the pure TikTok influencer vibes, it is significantly less rowdy than any of those parties that I've seen. But then this Oscar guy pops up, who I think is also a musician, but he seems interested in Charlotte, aka the awkward cousin, until she points out that she recognizes him as a contestant on The Voice. Because of course he was. Is The Voice like a big deal in France? Let me know. Then this dude rocks up and just starts making fun of Charlotte to her face, saying that like she was shipped off and taught by nuns for 6 years, which was apparently true, which doesn't really make that much sense to me since her dad's the principal of the school. Then there's some stuff with the mom and a nudist colony. I don't know. Whatever. Celine's obviously not impressed by this. She stalks off because they were being douches, but then pulls out that first edition Proust that she brought to the pool party. I'm not like the other girls. I like putting rare books at risks around idiots in water. But she meets this DJ named Tao who also seems to be against fun.
Fuck la mer, fuck le surf.
This is right about when the rich boat chick shows up, and it turns out that she was a child celebrity and still an actress, La Petite Sophie. And I guess she was actually Celine and Charlotte's idol as a child, so I'm kind of getting some like Olsen twin vibes here. But as expected, she, and her real name is Vanessa, and Tristan are supposed to be this like superstar couple. Tao explains that the entire party is essentially like a royal court. Like they're the kings and queens, they've got knights and jesters, and of course, the peasants. And I think he considers himself the merchant, aka the drug dealer. So in this particular version of the story, they just have a series of really weird sex bets going on back and forth between them, which you think they like wouldn't risk, because if like their fame is half predicated on them being like a unit couple, you think you wouldn't mess with other people like this. And now for whatever reason, she wants him to ruin Charlotte's reputation. But there's really no reason why. In like all the original stories, like Charlotte's character is set to be wed or in a relationship with Vanessa's character's ex-lover. So she wants revenge on the ex-lover, can't go directly to him because it would be too conspicuous. So she wants to get to him through her. In this, it's literally just like, hey, you want to ruin this girl's reputation for funsies? So she tries to turn it into a bet. If he can do it, she'll sleep with him because they're a fake couple. They've never actually done that. But he's really dedicated to going after Celine. Something about corrupting her morals and ideas of love and marriage, and just to mess her up so much that she'll be begging for his Balzac. Okay, I'm sorry, that's the last one. Maybe they just can't set me up like that. So that becomes the new bet. If he can sleep with Celine, he gets to have sex with Vanessa. And if he fails, she gets his beach house. And you know what? I think I would just keep the beach house personally, like a beach house in the south of France. Immersion immediately broken. No one would ever bet that away. But he accepts. Obviously, he kind of has to for the plot. In terms of modern retellings, Cruel Intentions just set it up infinitely better. From the beginning, we know that Sebastian has a fixation on sexual conquests. And he's going after Annette because she's the principal's daughter, and that would be like the ultimate display for his reputation. Whereas this movie just really struggles with the tone of Tristan's behavior. Like, he meets her before he knows that there's anything that can be manipulated out of the situation, whereas in like Cruel Intentions, he specifically goes out of his way to meet her because he knows he can use her as a conquest. Either way, it's time for school. And I guess these two girls aren't just Vanessa's minions, they are influencer school-aged paparazzis. And they just put it on blast that Celine is engaged at 17, because yeah, I'm sorry, it's fucking weird to be engaged at 17. I don't think the whole school would descend into making fun of her, but like, who knows? Either way, Tristan obviously still on the hunt and decides that a charitable act is how he's gonna get through to Celine. At some point, the school was apparently trying to raise money for this injured surfer and somehow only have $37 in donations. But to prove he's a good guy, Tristan just donates $1K on the spot. Even though this is clearly an affluent school, and if Tristan is a rich and famous surfer influencer, you'd think they would have had this thing filled with donors in under 24 hours. So as class president, he says he's going to organize a fundraising event, which again, all he would have to do is make one social media post and they could have this thing filled in like 24 hours. But whatever, for some reason, they think a school musical is the best way to do it. You know, the type of thing that costs a lot of money with like costuming and lighting and times. Like fundraiser events should be like a car wash or a party, some kind of soiree if you're in a really fancy location, not something that costs more money and time than you likely stand to make. Like a school musical can absolutely be a fundraising event, but only if that school musical is something that's already happening, which this was not. So they decide to make a hip-hop musical version of The Princess of Montpensier. And conveniently, Celine's dad is a director, so she volunteers him to work it to get him out of his slump. You know, the slump of his wife dying. But they get the okay, and to celebrate, Tristan invites her to the movies, but she has to FaceTime Pierre, her fiancé, which is when some kid conveniently starts getting bullied, so Tristan just punches him in the face. And she's just instantly so overcome with his display of justice masculinity that she agrees to go to the movie. I'm sorry, she absolutely strikes me as the type of person who would be like, yeah, I'm glad you stopped him from getting bullied, but why the fuck did you punch him in the face? But this was the first deceit. He paid off that kid to get punched. But like, not the kid who got bullied, because the guy who got punched by Tristan had to share his cut. So real gentleman here. I don't know how he knew that would win her over for the date, but whatever. It's still not quite a date because she brings her cousin Charlotte, which pisses him off. Honestly, in all the versions of this story, his confidence at being able to seduce somebody so quickly is bold at the least, but you know, don't get angry about it. Also, I need to clarify that since switching completely over to French audio, the acting isn't really getting any better. Like, the English version was screwing them over specifically in weird little ways, but not enough that the original language track saves it. Either way, he tries to be playful after being pissed, putting his hand in the popcorn every time she tries to grab some, jumping over to her side. She doesn't correct him when he calls it a date, but then he boldly goes in for a kiss. Sir, you have spoken to her like 4 times. Obviously, she slaps him and storms out, but then he tries to say it was just a joke. I don't think I need to tell any of you that kissing someone without consent isn't a joke. But in case I do, kissing someone without consent isn't a joke. But she ends up revealing that she was warned against getting too close to him, and he's just proving this person right, that he was bad news, that he does all these weird, fucked up bets that ruin people's lives, so he decides to get to the bottom of it. So he and Vanessa hit up Tao, who, as I mentioned, is the high school drug supplier, and say that if he doesn't clone Celine's phone with this spyware device, they'll send the photos of him dealing drugs at the party to the school and probably the police. But I don't understand why Vanessa is here helping him. Like, she shouldn't be trying to help him win. Like, for one, if he wins, she doesn't get a whole fucking beach house, and then literally she has to have like sex with him, and she should be busy working on her scheme of debauching Charlotte for whatever reason she wants to be doing that. I feel like they're really trying to make Tristan vibe like Nate from Euphoria, but like less mentally unwell, because like look at him, look at his hair. Honestly, we got a lot of felonies going on here now. We got like spyware, we got blackmail, but obviously Tao agrees to do it. So the next day at school is when the Charlotte plan starts. Vanessa asks to team up with Charlotte so they can help each other with their auditions, and then she brings Oscar in to help with like the singing aspect, and I'm pretty sure these two are gonna hit it off because that would just line up with Cruel Intentions and the book, but like just you wait. But with the clone phone, Tristan realizes it was Charlotte that warned Celine against him, so now he's on board with planning her reputation destruction too. Sir, she spoke no lies, stay in your lane. So Vanessa ends up inviting Charlotte and Celine to an all-girls cosplay slumber party, which is obviously just a regular high school rager, but honestly one that might put Euphoria to shame by the end. Also, I hope that Newer is actually sponsoring this movie because there is no other reason to be flexing the branding of the cheapest Amazon option for lighting and camera equipment. But as they're getting ready, Vanessa tells Charlotte about the pancake rule. Just like pancakes, your first sexual experience is probably gonna suck. So you should do it with someone you don't care about first, so then you can get some experience and you won't be as nervous when you go in for the real deal. So that's gonna pave the way for Tristan, and I thought that was really bold. If they sleep together, obviously Charlotte's gonna tell Celine, which would completely shut down any chance he had at getting with her.
Because I'm serving Charlotte a cream pie for dessert tonight, is that why?
Oh god, it's why? So the party's in full swing. At one point I thought that their like drinks might have been drugged, but I guess not based on like the rest of the behavior. At some point Celine changes her Instagram name to Madame Le Balek, which is the movie is translating to Miss Fuck It or Madame Fuck It, saying that she's essentially hit the stage where she just like doesn't care anymore. Doesn't care about what? I don't fucking know. Either way, she starts blowing up just by being in proximity to Tristan and Vanessa at this party, but they couldn't get that kid's surgery funded. Okay. Also, you think of just being in like this close proximity to them would just like have you blowing up? Like, wouldn't this just be an entire school of famous Gen Z kids? I don't know. Either way, best part of the movie here, French kids getting down to Carly Rae Jepsen. Hell yeah. But the second that Tristan gets to Celine, the music slows down and she gets overwhelmed and leaves. So Tristan immediately switches gear for Charlotte, who was just immediately on board because I guess she really just wants to speed along her plan of getting to Oscar. Then he passes out before they can do anything because it takes her too long to figure out condoms. I don't think anyone should be sleeping with this girl, but that's okay. She goes to find food and just starts hooking up with one of Vanessa's minions here. Good for her. Then I noticed that the entire party just turned into a massive orgy. I'm so confused. What the fuck? So she does end up hooking up with Oscar too? This is very quickly turned into an episode of The Boys. And then Celine just starts wandering around and I thought it might have been a drug haze because she's in this like dreamlike state where she's hallucinating Tristan touching her. And then there's just like this weird, overly dramatic monologue running over all this about alternate existences running parallel. But then she just wakes up under a tree, so I guess she was just really drunk, because that's how alcohol works. I honestly just feel really uncomfortable with everything happening here. Like the next morning, Tristan actually thinks that he did stuff with Charlotte, even though he would have been fully closed, and then he's like endeared that she didn't just use his unconscious body. But all it took for Celine to just like get rid of all her inhibitions was that one weirdo dream. She's now just super into Tristan. She's like, yeah, wipe that syrup, boy. I want to die. Then for some reason, everyone is just gone except Celine. So Tristan offers to take her home on his motorcycle, but then takes her on a little detour to this cave for the romance and fairy myths. So they start kissing, but there's just been zero chemistry between these two, and suddenly they're just stripping down in a cave. She went from saving herself until marriage to having sex on damp rocks, but somehow he didn't realize she was a virgin with all of her talks of like virtue and control over her body, but she has to mention that she thought her wedding night was just going to be like a perfect time for that to happen, but oh well. Like, I'm not saying that the pacing in Cruel Intentions was perfect, but it is so much better than this. Either way, he can't go through with it because he feels like shit now because he's actually getting feelings for her. So he takes her home, but they run into Pierre, who's here to surprise her. And to add insult to this poor bastard who just saw his girlfriend like riding on the back of a motorcycle, Tristan's like actually on an advertisement right here. So she ends up admitting to having feelings for Tristan, and Buddy's like,
why would you say yes to me then?
Sir, why did you ask? You're 17. No answers here though, it just cuts to audition time. No fallout whatsoever. Teenage drama is sick. Okay, so I feel really bad, but I feel like they set up Charlotte with like a really bad range for her voice. Still better than Tristan's rap, but instead of like bringing Celine to a fit of laughter, as it should have, it overwhelms her and she runs away. Honestly, this is such a fucking mess. Like her dad and her uncle are right there and they don't even question why she just ran out for no reason. But this is where that Charlotte B plot starts getting increasingly more shit show. So Charlotte has been continuing to hook up with both Oscar and the Minion. Okay, I can't keep calling her that. What is her name? Ariel. Her name is Ariel. But they both want to be serious with her, which is cute, even though mildly concerning because she seems to have the mentality of an 11-year-old. Good for you, girl, but you are playing them. But it cuts to the final casting, which is where we finally get a reason for Vanessa to want any kind of revenge against Charlotte. She got a minor role, and Charlotte gets the lead, which is extra insulting because she's actually an actor. But then Tristan is trying to encourage Celine to use her newfound social media following to promote the play because somehow they've only sold 50 tickets? I'm sorry, he has multiple millions of followers. Things would have sold out in an instant. None of this makes sense at all. Like literally the only reason why she's growing so fast on social media is because she's orbiting you. But she does it and then she agrees to go to his place to fix the ending of the musical, which is where we meet Tristan's mom, who is terrible. I guess they had to throw in something to make us feel more sympathetic towards him because she's like literally pointing out that he's been losing followers and needs to practice more. Either way, they head to his little beach getaway to work. He goes to catch some waves before they do it, but doesn't realize that she followed him out and gets swept under because the waves are like way too intense. So he saves her, but then strips her and himself down to raise her body heat. Like, dude, she was in a wetsuit. Why is the issue that she's too cold? Wouldn't it be getting her checked for blunt force trauma for getting knocked out or like the near drowning that apparently knocked her out? Like, I'm so fucking tired. I hate it. None of it makes sense. And that's why I'm having such a blast talking about this.
You know I fell in love with you the first time I saw you.
Okay, dude, let's just do a little bit of a rewind there.
I'll make sure she forgets all her dumb nonsense about soulmates, marriage, and fidelity. She'll probably end up begging me to fuck her instead of being the other way around.
Fuck off, man. But he admits to her that he and Vanessa are not a real couple, it's just for the numbers, and because she's Lady Fuck It now, she doesn't care that he tried to sleep with Charlotte to presumably ruin her reputation, so they do it. And guys, I'm pretty sure this is unprotected sex, so don't do that. You guys are learning so much today. I feel like this is really productive. But it cuts to school the next day and suddenly everyone thinks she's super awesome because she grew to 250k followers and people are like, look, I have a leather jacket too. But if like just being near Tristan and Vanessa is enough to start like growing your following, like I feel like most of this school should have like massive social media numbers. Makes no sense, but it's time for the big performance. Vanessa, obviously metal, somehow has footage of Charlotte sleeping with both Ariel and Oscar. Like overhead footage, how did you get that? Is she a ghost? Was it the world's longest selfie stick? She sends it out to the entire school, including the faculty, which means that her dad saw it, so that's just what every dad wants to see. Oscar and Ariel both feel betrayed, as they should. And apparently Celine was the understudy, so she gets to take the stage. And the musical's a little weird. It's some very aggressive English rapping where they swear like crazy.
I can hear you tiptoeing around my bimbo, you dumb fuck.
Did he just say dumb fuck in a school production? Also, why is it English in a French school? God, this is like Euphoria season 2. So Vanessa goes to Tristan like, sick, you did it. Now you can humiliate her, but he actually fell in love and doesn't want his prize. Which obviously bruises Vanessa's ego, and she says she will send out this video of them having sex because apparently she has the supernatural ability of recording people going at it without them even realizing it. Which honestly, like, you almost have to give props. So he ends things with her, tells her it was all a bet, but it's like, while the play is still happening, but it fits in so well with the story that like no one else notices. I'm so confused. So then he's just outside smoking his misery away out of nowhere. It's this art. I'm so happy. This is great. Which is when Vanessa comes out to try to do the sex with him, but he turns her down. So she posts that he cheated on her. Sends out the video anyway, and then goes on a tirade about how much she hates the fans. I get get some of her points. She's talking about these like old pervs who are being obsessed with her since she was 10 years old and how she needs to rely on all these people now. But yeah, she also really sucks. But Tristan is no amateur to her games, and he was also recording her and then exposes her in return. But then it cuts to him like prepping to kill himself. Make it make sense. And while this is happening, Celine is like running herself into the cold evening ocean. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that we were watching Twilight Saga New Moon. Wait. Is that Pierre? Did the ex-fiance just pop out of nowhere to save her? Well, I guess now we get the relationship closure.
I said yes to you because my mother approved of you.
Ouch, what the fuck, dude?
Maybe proposing when I did it was too soon.
Yeah, man, no shit. He ends up saying he did it to take her mind off the mom's death. You know, you're from Paris. I hear that Paris or somewhere in France has like a really nice version of Disney. Maybe try that next time. So suddenly they're just fine with being a platonic friendship love. Whatever, over to Tristan, who reveals everything that's been going down on his Insta story before he goes to jump off the roof, which is when Celine starts her Insta live. Oh my God. So she tells people not to bully Vanessa, that we all do crazy things for fame and attention, but like nothing she originally set up was to get her more fame or attention. It wasn't even for revenge at first. It was just to be a terrible person. Whatever, she then again turns it into some kind of conversation about love with a special message to Charlotte that people who don't appreciate her don't deserve her. So Oscar and Ariel forgive her, but like she was playing both of them. People should be mad at her. Whatever. Celine finds Tristan. They have a nice little emotional moment, and it's all completely on camera. Like she is like actively holding this phone out to herself in selfie mode so everyone can watch this serious conversation they're having. Like even in the most influencer of influencer movies, this is always when they're like, nah, now's when we put the camera down.
The really amazing thing is, it is nobody's goddamn business.
This is easily the lamest version of this story ever, and it's not over yet. It cuts to someone getting married on the beach, and it's Charlotte getting married to Oscar and Ariel. Yes, this movie ends with a polyamorous teenage wedding, which for one, isn't legal. Two, they're still in high school. And three, what the fuck? When I said you could not have anticipated where this movie was going, I hope to hell I delivered. And it somehow gets worse. It switches to Tristan rapping again. And I was gonna give you a little taste of the rap with the opening line here.
She wants a spanking, but I know how it feels to be hurt.
She wants a spanking, but I know how it feels to be hurt. Holy shit. Okay, I was originally blaming the filmmakers, but remember how I said that he's an actual rapper? Yeah, this is his song. He made it. Those words came out of his own brain. I have never had a movie hard pivot into art so quickly. But that's where I'm gonna call it. I'm done. I'm exhausted. What the fuck did I just watch? So yeah, that is gonna do it for Les Liaisons Dangereux or Dangerous Liaisons. I hope you guys enjoyed. I actually had a lot of fun with this one. So I hope people actually watch this. I know this isn't really on anybody's radar, but as I'm a big fan of Cruel Intentions, so I felt like I really had to give this one a go. And oh my God, it went places I don't think any of us could have anticipated, but if you watched it, let me know what you guys are thinking down below. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new, leave a like on the video. If you're into that kind of thing, all of my different social medias are linked down below. If you want to get me to 250,000 Instagram followers in a month, which will absolutely never happen, but that's okay. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later. She wants a spanking, but I know how it feels to be hurt.